My name is Jennifer Howard. I studied abroad at the Westminster program in fall 2006.
And why did you decide to go to London?
Well, I'm a big reader and I always loved British literature, so I really thought that London would be the best place for me to go. I thought about some other places like Bulgaria because it was a lot less expensive, but in the end I couldn't resist.
I think my impression here is that a lot of people are skeptical about going, especially to England now with the exchange rate between the dollar and the pound. What was your experience? Did the school offer you any scholarships and stuff like that?
I did get one scholarship from the school, and I had, because I just had to pay our tuition, I had scholarships for that as well, but I was offered an additional scholarship from the J school. I think of that.
And were prices in the UK, a big surprise to you? Rent?
Yes. Coming from Missouri, mid-Missouri, where everything is not very expensive, it was a bit of a shock to go there. And my biggest recommendation would be try to save enough money that you don't have to think of the exchange rate. Like, try to think in pounds, because I know I barely ate for like a month and a half. So, sticker shock.
Did you work there?
No, I didn't. I've worked all the time while I was in Missouri, but I wanted to just take the time and go out and explore London when I was there.
What about, the culture shock?
I didn't experience too much culture shock, I think. It was mostly homesickness. I found a group of people that I joined a club on campus, and that helped me a lot, I think.
Was it a society or?
What do you mean, society?
In England, they call.
Oh, they don't have clubs and organizations; they have societies.
They call them societies.
Okay. Yes, it was a society.
And what was the society about?
Well, I joined the Christian Union because I've always found churches to be a really good source of support. And actually, I think that was the best thing I could have done, and I still have friends from there. So.
When did you start applying for the program? If you were to advise anyone to go on the program, how well in advance should they, start the whole application process, researching and stuff like that?
Well, I'd say you should start researching study abroad. Maybe halfway through your freshman year, trying to figure out where you want to go, first of all. And money issues and planning and saving and that sort of thing. But as far as the application process, you don't really need to do it until the semester beforehand. I didn't have any problem finding plane tickets or anything like that.
And why did you choose Westminster?
I'd heard that they had a good magazine program, or that they were good about teaching people design and that sort of thing, because it's a media arts and design campus. And at the time I was interested in doing page layout magazines. I think I should probably repeat some of this, sorry.
And how did your expectations meet with the reality?
Well, I think as far as honing my design skills, the best thing was doing the magazine project, because we split off into two groups and started our own magazine. And I was able to serve as one of the head designers for my own magazine. So that was really good in improving my design skills. I expected to do a bit more design, but I really enjoyed exploring other aspects of the arts, like film and photography, while I was there too.
And what about your classmates? How did you adapt easily? How did they
How they react?
You?
Yeah, most of them were pretty welcoming. They were all, actually, I was surprised. I expected a bit of anti-Americanism, but I didn't really feel that at all. A lot of people were really excited, though, and they asked, "Have you been to New York? Have you been to LA?" But of course, I'm from Missouri, and I haven't been, although I know a lot of people from here have. But they were all very welcoming. I'm excited to hear about a different culture in America.
Do you stay friends with any people that you went
I did. I'm still in touch with a couple of them. One girl from one of my classes and a couple from Christian Union. I stayed with one of them when I went to London over spring break recently.
You said that you kind of wish that you only started enjoying your time towards the end of the program. Like, what would you do differently if you were to do it again?
I think I would try to be more outgoing. I'm a naturally reserved person, and so I think I would try to put myself out there a bit more. They're good at, they have a link with the International Student House, and I know there were a lot of trips going on with that, and I would probably go on more of those. I only went on one earlier on, and just trying to be generally more outgoing and reaching out to the class.
So, did you go on any of those trips?
I went on one to Oxford, and that was fun.
How was that?
It was fun. Oxford is a beautiful city. I loved it. Lots of walking, but that's fine with me.
What about London? Which airport did you fly to? Heathrow?
I didn't fly through Heathrow. Actually, I flew to Gatwick.
Yeah.
So getting from Gatwick to central London with my luggage was a bit of an ordeal. In retrospect, I think I probably should have saved up the money for a taxi and done that instead. But as it was, I struggled through on the tube, which was not so much fun. But arriving there wasn't really too stressful. I would recommend finding a hostel to stay at for a couple of weeks while you look for a place to stay.
Did you stay at the university, at the dorms, or did you?
I didn't. I found a place off campus. Yeah, so I guess if you're going to stay off campus, I'd recommend a hostel for a couple of weeks. One of the students I talked to before I went, who had studied there before, stayed at the residence hall, and she seemed to have a really good time there. And I know that would probably be another great way to build fellowship with the people there, because I know they hang out a lot in the kitchens and all that sort of thing. And
sometimes too much. What was the best part of this whole experience? Now, when you look at that, what is it that you think that stayed with you and that nobody's going to take away from you?
Well, I think there's the relationships aspect, but I think there was also, I learned a great deal of independence and I got a great deal of confidence when I went over there, just because I did go by myself, and so I was forced to be a bit more self-reliant if I need. The J School has links over there, of course, but I preferred to be a bit more independent, and so I felt that I went away feeling a lot more capable of living. Sorry.
Would you say that going, just on your own instead of, as you said, with a group of American fellow students, did it help you to experience the British culture?
I think it did, for sure. I think when you go with people from your country, there's a tendency to hang out and just stick with what you know. And going by myself, I pretty much had to adjust to that culture, and so I went to a few parties with people, with fellow Brits. Ow, sorry, I just got bit by an ant, and I'm stuffing. And I got to see, I think, probably a side of London that you might not get to see if you were with other Americans.
I mean, are you referring to the party or just?
Oh, just in general. I mean, I think, I think probably if you stay with, I didn't really go to clubs, but I imagine that if you spend more time with the British people there, you're going to go naturally to different places too. So, both, I guess.